What's going on? My name is NFT Flenny, and today I'll be talking about the talk of the town, the most recent drama, if you will, in the Veve community, and that is Dan Schawbel interviewing Gary Vee and Gary Vee's comments about Veve. So first, I'll show you guys the clip about what he said, then I'll be giving my thoughts after it. Let's get straight into it.
I know that you are like Mr. NFT, but you're also like NFTs is like part of your career, obviously. Like you're always forward looking, you're always testing, with your own NFTs in the marketplace you're launching and everything that you've been doing. So you've said that 98% of NFT projects will go to zero and called for an NFT winter. What do you think will be the 2% that appreciate long-term in value?
I'm not sure. I'm incredibly positive. My big bet is CryptoPunks, just given the nature of its status of establishment.
What about like IP, like Veve with NFTs and like Disney NFTs with like Marvel and Star Wars?
The problem is, I come from a collecting background, so I'm too smart.
Me too.
This. Good. So you know this. Good. So you know this. Not even close to every Spider-Man has value.
What about the first ever Spider-Man NFT?
Of course. The question becomes though, which one, right? Like versus on-chain versus what if Solana wins the day in 12 years? Then it's gonna be the first Solana Spider-Man, not the first ETH, right? So we're too early. See where I'm going?
Yeah.
There's a lot to think through. You could bridge over to different chains. There's a lot to think through. What is actually an NFT versus a digital asset? Maybe closed environment, decentralized.
It's switching away from being a closed environment, though. It's going to be
the question will, I know that, but the question will become, will the market accept it as the first, or was it the first that minted on mainnet because they didn't got it? Because now it won't be the first that's minted. So there's all of it's awesome. Like I actually have no idea.
So there you have it, the somewhat surprising answer from Gary. And real quick, big shout out to Dan for taking the little time he had with the interview, taking some time to throw Veve in there, make sure Veve gets in the spotlight, and give Gary a chance to give his thoughts about Veve, since he's been surprisingly quiet about it, with him being the whole NFT guy, the unofficial spokesman for NFTs. The fact that he hasn't commented too much, if at all, about Veve, one of the leading NFT projects, and definitely the leader when it comes to licensed, branded IP. But what he said was pretty interesting, and that's what I want to talk about. And the first thing that he says is that we know that not every physical Spider-Man collectible is valuable, and that is exactly true. And then Dan rightly says, well, what about the first one? And that's what we always talk about. That's what someone like myself always talks about, is why these are so valuable is because they are the first of their kind. And then Gary says something that I never really considered, and he says, well, what if Solana is the premier blockchain 12 years in the future? What if that's where most things run on? Are people gonna want the first Solana minted Spider-Man NFT? And I see where he's coming from, and that's something that I hadn't considered before, but I'm not worried about these NFTs dropping on Veve. I'm not worried about them not being the first or not being considered the first. I mean, everywhere you look about the announcements, whether it be from Veve or whether it be from Disney or whoever, Marvel, they all say get the first ever fill in the blank NFT. They make a point to say the first. And when they're in these negotiations, when they're working to get their IP turned into NFTs to sell them as collectibles, I'm sure that they are treading lightly and that they are being very careful, and they would know the ramifications of putting out the first ever NFT. And I doubt that after having an established first for a decade, that the whole market, the whole tide will shift and be like, okay, now this is the first. Especially seeing the Disney CEO talking about making a Disney metaverse and just metaverses becoming so much more popular and starting to be built. I doubt that they would build a metaverse with these NFTs in them that they then just take away and it's not considered the first anymore. That would be a very, very bad look for these companies if they market something as the first ever, and then down the line, they kind of swat that aside and say, okay, now this is the new first because it's on the blockchain that we like. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that these companies chose Veve for a reason. They know that they're going to be on Ethereum. They know that they're a great company. They know that they're going to do things right. And I think they considered all these things while in the process of creating these NFTs. Now, is it possible that Solana is the premier blockchain that everyone uses in 12 years? Sure, I do think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. I mean, we've seen Ethereum. It's been one of the biggest players in crypto. It's been the second biggest player for the entirety of crypto. and they're doing so much. We got brand new Immutable X. There's so much promise, so much going on with that. We got TikTok NFTs on Immutable X. We got games. We got like Gods Unchained that's been growing so fast. We of course have Veve and Ecomi coming there. There's so much going for it. I doubt that a different blockchain comes along, steals the thunder, especially being on Ethereum. It is so established, so huge, I doubt it gets overtaken. So long story short, I am not worried about these NFTs not being considered the first in the future. I think it's safe to say that the first that we are seeing dropping recently, I think it's safe to say that they will always be the first. And I also think that when it comes to metaverses and the future of metaverses and NFTs, I think a lot of these will be interoperable and you'll be able to jump around from different metaverse to different metaverse. And I think that all makes it more likely that what is minted as the first and what is marketed as the first will stay as the first. It'd be a big headache to swap that all around. So after some of the backlash, if you will, some of the criticism, Gary Vee actually made a response video on Twitter. And I think this is just a testament to the Veve community about how passionate we are and how we make our voice heard, possibly sometimes to a fault, but I think it's great seeing someone like Gary Vee actually see our comments, see our concerns, take them into consideration, and take his time to make a video explaining more about Veve. And I'll show that right now, and then we'll talk about it.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Just making this quick video because I saw my interview with Dan. Dan, thanks for the interview. Just commentary on Veve, like, just so there's no confusion. A, I'm cheering for Veve like crazy. B, I don't love talking about things in general when I'm not 100% sure or haven't done the homework. I haven't gone hardcore on Veve enough yet to really know what I think. You know, I'm seeing the headlines, you know, like through my stream, like now on Immutable, I love layer 2s, but like, let there be no confusion. I don't have, even in my small investments compared to my career in Recur or Candy, like I'm cheering for everybody. I don't think, the biggest issue right now in the space is people think that this is an or game. With the amount of meaningful IP in the world, Veve, Solana, ETH, Candy, Recur, Dapper, the world is abundant. Like everybody can win. It's gonna come down to execution. Who executes and who doesn't. And you know, for me, when I'm putting my name on like this is gonna work, like I feel comfortable about CryptoPunks. But like I said the other day, like I'm just learning. Like I don't know if Wolf Game's gonna win or not, but there's enough there on the gaming mechanics. I'm like, let me check out if this could become the Axie Farmville of ETH. I don't know if the first Spider-Man of Veve works, but like I will absolutely look into that. You just can't get to everything all the time. People are airdropping me projects. I'm getting 1,000 DMs. I'm running a massive company. So for the Veve community, just want you to know, like, I got love for your red circles. I just don't have enough information. I'm not good enough yet because I haven't dug and clicked and looked into it. I had my Veve meetings early, just haven't gotten quote unquote around to it, but I think everybody can win.
So he made it pretty clear that he doesn't know everything about Veve and that he doesn't feel very comfortable talking all about it because he doesn't know all that much about it. I understand that he's a busy guy. He has his own businesses. He has his own NFTs. He speaks at events. He researches tons of projects. I understand, you know, he might not have time to research this or know all the ins and outs. I do find it a bit hard to believe that he doesn't know that much about it, considering he's, like I said, the unofficial spokesperson of NFTs, and Veve is one of the leading, if not the leading NFT project. Not saying he's lying or anything, it just seems a bit hard to believe. But regardless, it would make sense that he wouldn't want to put his name out there, put his reputation out there, and say something that he's not completely sure about. I do understand that. But at the same time, him saying, what if they're not considered the first, to me, that shows a bit of a lack of understanding, or maybe a bit of a lack of knowledge. And I would love for him to talk to someone like Andre Zik or someone else in the Veve YouTube community that could educate him and really bring it up to speed. Because I think once he fully grasps the concept, I think he'd be all in like we all are. And I think he'd be a lot more confident in Veve. But with all that being said, this should not worry you. This should not stress you out about your investment. In my opinion, of course, not financial advice, never financial advice. You shouldn't be panic selling or whatever. I know I'm deep in this project for a reason. And it's because I really believe in the team. I believe in the licensing. I believe in the product. And like I always say, these huge, ginormous, multi-billion, multinational companies, they don't just close their eyes and throw a dart and pick what project to release the NFTs on. They did tons of research. They have so much on the line. So if they can trust Veve, to me, that means I can trust Veve. And I am just as confident in this project afterwards as I was before hearing these Gary Vee comments. And keep in mind that although he is very respected, he's very knowledgeable, he's very experienced, no one is perfect, no one knows everything. So although we can value his opinion, we don't need to believe every single word he says, or we don't need to agree with every single thing he says. So keep that in mind. Again, shout out to Dan for the interview. Shout out to him for asking Gary and getting some kind of response from him. And you know what they say, all publicity is good publicity. So even him maybe not saying the best things about Veve, this will definitely get Veve on more people's radars. And once they do their due diligence, once they do their research and they learn fully about what Veve is and what it's about, I have no doubt that Gary Vee's comments will be irrelevant. And I think he'll come around to it eventually. One takeaway that I do think is really important, and why I think it's very important to not put all of your eggs in one basket, is that stuff like this is possible. It is possible that what we thought is a shoo-in turns out, oh, it's on this blockchain instead, and this and that, you know. Anything could happen. Nothing in investing is a sure bet. So that's why it's important to, as much as I love Omi and as much as I love Veve NFTs, and I have been tempted to consolidate all my positions into Veve and Omi just because I believe in them so much, but I've restrained because we never know what's going to happen. There could be some curveball that gets thrown at us. We never truly know. So I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I just wanted to weigh in, give my thoughts. I know it's a pretty important topic and a somewhat controversial one. So hopefully you gained something to value from this video. Hopefully I kind of pushed you at ease if you were worried about it. I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy the content, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell because it really helps my channel grow and we can spread this content to more people in the Veve community and future Veve community members. As always, this has been NFT Flenny. I'll see you guys next time.